So today, we're talking about weird powers. Why? Because this is something you learned earlier. So if I gave you 81, but I said it was going to be fourth root of 81, and then I put a 1 over that, my question is, that's the same as 81 to the what power? Don't say it, write it. Did you have 81 to the 1/4? Is that involved in your answer? It is, because that's the root. But what else needs to be there? A negative. There you go. Now, can anybody do it in their head? Yes, you can. It simplifies down to a simple fraction, which you probably even know the decimal for. You might be like, oh, this is impossible. But you probably aren't thinking, you know the fourth root of 81. You can do the fourth root of 81. You really can. Who thought about the fact that you have a calculator on your desk? Well, you'll have one on the whole test. But I also want you to think 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 9 times 9, which is 81, isn't it? So what's the fourth root of 81? 3. So then the final answer is 1 over that, so it's 1/3, which is 0.3 repeating. You get how you could actually have done that in your head? It's true. Okay. So there's one thing that is on the final that is kind of hard to remember. Weird fraction powers. All right. What else is on the final that's kind of hard to remember? Well, one of them is probability. I'm going to do piano, dog, and let's go with pop. You like pop, you have a dog, and you have a piano, then you'd be in here. And let's say that I'm just, instead of polling you this time, let's say that I say there's 2 people here, 1 here, 3 here, 20 here, 1 here, and 5 there. Do you remember, oh wait, and then there's 1 person on the outside. Do you remember that deal where if I say piano, union, dog, you have to like figure out what to do? Do you remember those symbols? How about piano, intersect, dog? And so far we aren't even doing probability. We're just doing some symbols. If you remember these symbols, write down how many is in piano, union, dog, and piano, intersect, dog. I'll pause for a second while you try to remember that stuff. U means union or the word or. Now, be careful because everybody thinks or means that it'll be a small answer, but ors are big answers. Like, I'll give you an example. If I had the kids in the classroom here raise their hands if they had a dog or a cat or live in a house or live in an apartment, all of a sudden everybody's hands up. Or is a big answer. All right, so the big answer here is piano or dog is all of these. You should have said it was 20, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 28. Raise your hand if you had 28. Awesome. That's or. Or the other way to say it is it's a union, and unions want to be big. They want to have everybody in it. All right. P intersect D is an intersection, like where 2 roads overlap, like the intersection of 101 and 7. That's the intersection. It's where they overlap. So where does P overlap with D? Another way to say this is and. Well, where does P overlap with D? It's these 2. Both of them. Now somebody like, but what about the pop? It doesn't matter. Both of them have dog and piano. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Who had 3 for that answer? Okay, good. Now one last thing about these probabilities. What if I said, what's the probability? Well, you'd probably want to know how many total there are. Does anybody added them all up yet? What was it? 34. I thought it was 33. Can somebody verify if you think it's... 33. I'm pretty sure it's 33. I think it's easy to miscount. That's why I asked. So I think it's... Oh, I forgot the one outside. 34. Good catch. Nice job. Smarter than the teacher award today. Okay, so now if it's out of 34, my question is, what is probability of dog, but this is going to be a tricky one, given pop. Given the persons you ask like pop, what is the probability of that they have a dog? All right, that changes the denominator. So we took all that time to add it up and it's out of 34. This one won't be out of 34 because I said given pop. All right, the given pop thing meant I could only pick from these. Only those are possible, and those go on the bottom. There's 11 possibles. Now, of those that I can pick, which ones have the dog? Those two both have dogs, so it'd be 5 out of 11. Who would have got that one right? All right, good job. All right, so there's a little review of that kind of thing. Now, I'm trying to keep it short each day. Let me see what else I should probably... Oh, yes, logs. Do you guys even remember we had logs in here? All right, let's go through some simple log stuff. What if I said log base 3 of 3? Don't overthink this. What's the answer? It's 1. How about log base 3 of 3 to the 3? What's the answer now? Do you think the answer didn't change? Do you think the answer's still 1? It's 3. Here's why. If I wanted to, I could move that 3 down to the front. Do you guys remember that? And if this black writing was worth 1, which it was, then the 3 in front means the whole thing is now worth 3. Does that make sense to you? All right. What if instead of a 3 up there, I put an 11, one of my favorite numbers. Just kidding. A 17. Now what's the answer? 17. It's just whatever that power is. So you're getting the idea that if you can make these bases the same, that the answer's already there. Do you remember this kind of deal? What if I said 10 log 14? Trick question, Mr. Server, it doesn't have a base. Oh, then it does have a base.
It's 1.
The base is not 1. The base is 10. If there's no base, the base is 10. And now, all of a sudden, I see that the bases are the same. These are the same. My saying was, the bases are the same, the answer is already there. So what's the answer? 14. Yes? There's a big button that says log. Now, if you want to use a different base than 10, then alpha math, for the calculators that have the newer operating system, would allow you to get a box here and a box here. If you hit alpha math, then you could do like log base 2 of 9. But if you have the older style calculator, you have to type in log 9, divide by log 2. Process that, everybody. Because if you have the older calculator, that's how you'd have to enter it. If you have a newer calculator, alpha math opens up these empty boxes and you can put in any base and any argument you want. All right, a little bit more on logs. Remember the reason I was asking you about those weird exponents is because what if I say log base 10, which I wouldn't even have to say the base then, right? Of 1 over 1,000. That simplifies down to a simple answer like 5. Figure out what it is. I encourage you to talk to the kid next to you. Maybe they can give you some tips like, well, since the base is 10, you want to make it 10 to a power. Talk to the person next to you. See what you guys think. Okay. Were you thinking it's got a base 10, so I really want this to be 10 to a power? And that's why I was asking you to remember these tricky powers. Excuse me, guys. So that should be 10 to a power. So the question is, what power? Well, 10 to the first wouldn't be big enough. 10 to the second is 100. 10 to the third is 1,000. That seems close. So then it's 10 to the third. But it has to be 1 over it. Negative third. Final answer, negative 3. Raise your hand if you had negative 3. Okay, if you didn't, that's something you may want to study more. Do you get that every lesson I did this whole semester is a video for it? So if you realize, oh, I'm really weak on that, you can go back into each folder and there's a video for every day. Yes?
Can you just put that in your calculator?
Good question. Okay, so let's say I put a letter in it. We do that all the time. so that kids don't just type that into the calculator. So,
No, I'm just like,
that's a fair question. This particular problem, it's true, you'll have a calculator, but you have to know when I put a variable into it, what the answer is. All right, because when you put a variable into it, it keeps the kid from just typing it in. So there'll be somewhere we do that, and somewhere you could use a calc. True. All right. I think that's enough for today. I'm trying to give you a little blast each day of things that'll help you. Remember that today during work time, you're going to hopefully, some of you will be retaking the top 20. You don't have to, but it counts as 5 homework assignments. That's a lot. You may have noticed that your grade dropped a little bit if you had a bad top 20. Well, this is your chance. Maybe come up, ask me about a couple of them that you've never been able to do well. Study it by watching the videos at Algebra Ninja, and then just say, can I take a top 20? I will give you a special top 20 that you can do at your desk. Has to be done under my supervision, though. And that's all I got for you for today.